It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. It is the Brad and John Show for Thursday, February 13th. This is the C block, the Charlie block, and we started about 7:40. It's 7:46, so we're way behind schedule this morning. And you know what? I'm never the kind of guy that points fingers, but it's all John's fault, right?
It is, especially today. Yeah, I just got you going, you know?
Okay. You know what I'm going to do, John? I'm not going to talk about that today. I know what you want me to, because there's new developments with this story, which happened on, Tuesday? Today's Thursday. There's new developments, and actually it's gotten sort of interesting. So, and I just don't want to make this show sound like it's Brad against the world, but it is Brad against the world sometimes.
Yeah, we could say that for a moment. We could talk about there's a new, remember the Pet Shop Boys from the band from the 80s?
One of my favorites, West End Girls. I love that song.
Yeah, they have a song called North County Boys and Cottleville Girls. They get in fights. There's a refund and a lunch and a heave-ho. Yeah, It's a cool song.
Okay.
They just did a remix.
We have more.
Actually, just this week.
We have more important things to talk about. Like, for example, this one. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Have you heard about the dispute between Cardi B and Donald Trump?
Somebody in my life sent me a link to this yesterday, and I did not click on it. Because I had, pretty much anything else to do other than read it. But from the headline, I saw that, she blames him for something. What does she blame him for?
Cardi B blames Trump for ruining her shoes at the Super Bowl. Now, think about that for a minute. If you're graphing something, how do those two things intersect?
Well, what's her rationality for this?
I read the article, and it doesn't ever say. It says rapper Cardi B ranted in a new video that President Donald Trump ruined her Super Bowl experience and should have not attended. Trump, and it talks about, it says, and they quote her in her language. She says, "No, I was too effing mad today because Donald Trump and S blank blank." And she said in unscripted video, he was at the Super Bowl today, and they was giving us a hard time. Oh my gosh, the Secret Service was not playing at that mother blanker blanker. The Secret Service was not playing to get in that mother blanker blanker. Oh my God. But it never says, it says, she then blamed Trump, saying the Secret Service wasn't allowing carts near the stadium, so her expensive shoes were ruined. Does that mean she had to walk?
Was it snowy maybe? Or no, it couldn't have been snowy.
No, it's in New Orleans. Essentially,
yeah.
This is here. I'll read you this. This is one paragraph. It's a sentence paragraph. She then blamed Trump, saying the Secret Service wasn't allowing carts near the stadium, so her expensive shoes were ruined. Does that mean she had to walk?
It sounds like, instead of getting on like a little golf cart thing, like a Cottleville golf cart, she would have to walk, and I guess that would scuff maybe if she had light-colored shoes. To me, this seems like the thing, Brad. If I'm Cardi B, I don't think she has the sense to do this, but somebody from her team should have the sense to go to a shoe company and say, hey, Cardi's shoes were ruined. She's making a whole thing about it. Could you give us 3 more pair of size 6s, and we'll put it on Instagram and TikTok, and we'll talk about how great your shoes are.
Okay, so here I'll give you this quote, and this is John decoding. John, do you have your rap decoder ring on? Do you have that?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. She says, "Quote: This shoe cost me 3 bands." Okay, John, what is 3 bands?
A band is $1,000.
John would know this, and it says in the article.
And to quote 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne, "Bands to make a dance."
Okay.
See, bands will make her dance. If you have $1,000 and you go to a gentleman's club, you could probably get a little, you could probably see a few things there.
Okay, so a band is, and it's interesting because of the fact that I think that if you talk to bankers, they call it a strap, which is if you go when they get the money from the Federal Reserve or wherever it comes from, the main bank, it's in bundles, and it's got a strap around it that has the denomination and it has how much is in that strap. Why is that the same thing? So a band is $1,000, so that would be what?
Yeah, and now 15, 20 years ago, it was just called a stack.
A stack.
So rappers would say, it cost me 5 stacks, would be $5,000. Now they say it costs 5 bands.
Okay, but is what denomination of bills is that for $1,000? Is that 20s?
Probably 20s. I'm guessing it's 20s.
Okay, so it's a band of $20 bills, which comes out to be, so it would be $20. 10 20s would be $200. So it would be what? It would be $50, $20 bills. That would it be?
Yeah, I'm guessing that would be. Yeah, I'm guessing if they're 20s. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to go to my banker today and say, hey, when you get the 20s,
It costs 3 bands.
Right. Hey, I'm here to deposit some bands, man. I got it out of my car.
2 Chainz famously in one of my famous songs, or one of my favorite songs called Feds Watch, and he said, "See those shades you got on called the Ray-Bans, but the shades I got on cost a band."
Okay.
And that's often misheard. Some people think he says 8 bands. He didn't say 8 bands. He says a band. So he's the gentleman he's putting down simply wears, dime store Ray-Bans that you would get from Famous Bar. But 2 Chainz wears sunglasses that cost at least $1,000. Some would say 8 grand.
Okay, so let me read this paragraph again. This is her quote. Quote, "This shoe cost me 3 bands," Cardi B said, referring to the slang word for $1,000, which Sean got, while loudly chewing chips and holding up a high-heeled shoe covered in decorative spikes. Quoting once again, "All cause of Trump. Now I like him lesser."
I like him lesser. Now, was this sponsored by Red Hot Riplets?
I don't know.
Does she know that according to my dear friend and community supporter, Brad Hildebrand, you can go to a certain Schnucks and you can get a Red Hot Riplets donut?
So, okay, let me continue with this. The rapper went on to rant that Trump shouldn't have gone to the Super Bowl. And she says, quote, "Now I like him lesser," she says this again, "because you didn't have to go to the no damn Super Bowl, Hoover, effing up my shoe," she said. Now, once again,
Wow.
What happened to her shoe? I say the key to the story, and see, this is where journalism is missed its mark. Okay, if she says Trump has messed up her shoe, why do we have to guess how her shoes got messed up? Because now I can see maybe if Donald Trump came up to her and said, "Hey, Cardi, those are nice looking shoes. Watch this." Bonk, bonk, bonk.
Yeah, that's like what you do in school when your buddy had new shoes, right?
Right. If you showed up with new tennies back in the day, you had some jerk who was going to make your tennies look bad already, right?
Absolutely.
Right. That was what happened. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, did Cardi B have a personal interaction with Trump, and did Trump stomp her shoes or something like that? No.
I think the only person equipped to ask that question would be from public radio, and they'd have to have a master in social work.
Should I send an email to Madalyn Painter Day? Hey, Madalyn, I've got a question for you. How did Cardi B's shoes get messed up at the Super Bowl?
I think that would be more of a question for Rosenbaum, who's more up on Cardi B than most people.
Was that covered on NPR? Did NPR have a story about that? Can you send me the quote on that? I'm curious as to how Cardi B's got shoes. Her shoes.
It was on All Things Considered. I'm not a Cardi B guy. Like, I'm from the school of female rappers that were like Foxy Brown, Trina, like Cardi B. Just I can't stand her methodical flow. I can't stand the fact that she repeats her themes over and over and over. It's just it's tiresome to me.
The one gas station I go to quite often is to the point where there's always some dude in there with his stereo up to 11, and he's playing some music that you're not going to hear in the air because every third word is an F-bomb. And I'm thinking to myself,
yeah, it might be Cardi B.
I'm thinking to myself, John, I could write this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm telling you. I mean, and
auto-tune, AI could probably write a lot of it. Like, if you set up some sort of algorithm where every fifth word was either a self-identified racial slur or a 4-letter word, you could probably get AI to do it.
Man, there's a couple of these Facebook groups that I see from time to time, and there's one of them that's really interesting. One of them is showing all these classic recording studios, and the one that they always show is the Abbey Road Studios that was owned by EMI, which was in London where the Beatles were recorded a lot of their music, including the Road, the Abbey Road album and stuff like that. Yeah. And there's comments. They show these beautiful pieces of equipment, and some of these pieces of equipment that are 30 and 40 years old are still in service because they have this incredible sound to them. And me being sort of an audio nerd, I can tell you I've got and to the point where I can tell you on certain pieces of equipment, for example, I have 3 different microphone processors, which are the exact same brand, exact same model, and the serial numbers aren't that far apart. Each one of them has a different sound to it. And if you would listen to it, you wouldn't hear it. And I'm not trying to say I got super ears, but when you've done this for a long time, you pick up on subtle little things. And the point I'm making is there's all these people commenting about, oh my God, that has such luscious bass and the mid-range is so wonderful in those pieces of equipment. And there's one guy that comments, he says, how sad it is that nobody cares about this kind of stuff anymore. You just get yourself a laptop, you throw Pro Tools on it, you put Auto-Tune on it, you subscribe to one of the beat mix services, and you're making music. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? He's right. What used to be these masterful musicians who would go into a studio, the Beatles, and these masterful engineers with this incredible equipment, now somebody can be sitting in the parking lot at Schnucks with their laptop on the hood of their car, recording a voice track. And I'm not making fun of this. I'm just saying this is the way it is. And that song could be a #1 song. And there are instances of this. Matter of fact, these guys, who was it? There's 3 brothers. We used to play them. They had a bunch of music came out in Westplex. We play AMR or something. There is the 3 brothers' initials. They record in their closet in their apartment in New York City. And they make tons of money, and they've got all these hit records. And I'm thinking to myself, once again, this is how things have changed. Am I against it? No. Time marches on,
Yeah, I was just going to say, Brad, when that happens in journalism, you and I applaud it. And people ultimately make the decision. If you look at a guy like, I love the song $1 Million Baby, which has become so overplayed, but Tommy Richmond, songs like that are just simple synth, like 90s style,
right?
They got to cost no money to make those songs. You know what? If people like them and they become a trend on TikTok, then, if they're popular, they're popular.
But look at artists who have become popular, like one of the guys we play on Westplex, which I love, Teddy Swims. You know who Teddy Swims is?
Yeah, he's got I forgot whatever huge song that's just all over the place.
Right.
I know the song you're talking about.
And it's like a throwback song. It almost sounds like it almost sounds like something you'd hear like in the showroom of the Sands Hotel in 1965. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's got that Frank Sinatra kind of, sound to it. And once, God, get me going about stuff like this. And am I an old guy? Yeah, I'm an old guy. But I'm also a guy that is going to say, because we've done it like this for a long time, why should it be different? My thing is, I'm saying, look, embrace the future, but don't forget the past. Because, what's the famous saying? Those who forget history are bound to repeat it.
Doomed to repeat it.
Are doomed to repeat it. The idea being is you learn so much from people's mistakes. And I keep saying once again too many times, how did the Japanese get to the point where after we bombed them into almost oblivion in World War II, how did they get to be a world?
I know. Ooh, I'm raising my hand in class, Brad. Can I answer this question?
Go ahead.
They bought our best technology, our best cars, our best printers, fill in the blank, and then they reverse engineered them.
Exactly. So, and they made them better and cheaper. That's the whole point. How many people, if you're a car collector, what vintage of cars does nobody want except for the end of the supercar era? Nobody wants mid to late 70s and early 80s cars, American-made cars. You know why? They were S-blank-blank-T. They were junk because the Americans were turning out JUNK. At the same time, the Japanese were turning out incredible cars, which were fuel efficient, which we needed at the time, and last forever. But the Americans were turning out junk. So you would think the Americans would have learned their lesson, but in a lot of respects, they haven't. But, what can I say?
Well, hey, listen, as long as the market remains strong for the Edsel that's still in your garage, you're going to be fine, Brad.
John.
And you also had a K car, and you also had a DeLorean.
I did have a K. I did have a K car, John. I honest to God have a K car.
You're joking me. Oh, wow. Okay.
I did have a K car, but
I used that as a punchline.
No,
but okay.
I had a K car, but it was a top of the line K car because what it did was it was Karen Carroll's company car. and I bought it from.
So wait a minute, that was a KCCC, a Karen Carroll company car,
a KCCC.
Karen Carroll company K car.
Yeah, I bought it from the radio station because she was getting a new car and she wanted to sell it, and I bought it and I gave it to my wife.
Did it smell like Karen Carroll?
Oh, Karen, Karen's a wonderful woman.
I know. I thought she's an attractive woman, right? I didn't mean that in a derogatory way.
And I'm telling you, one of the smartest, most courageous women I know in my life. And Karen, if you're listening, you did so many good things for me, which you will never understand, but you did so many good things for me, and I appreciate you as being a smart, attractive, intelligent, successful woman a long time before it was cool to be a smart, attractive, intelligent, successful woman. How's that for being totally honest, right?
And in your garage, you still have her poster right up next to your Cheryl Tiegs poster.
No, right next to my Sarah or Farrah Fawcett poster. That's the one that.
I thought you were going to say Sarah Bareilles. We know you're a big fan of hers.
No, it's right next to all my posters of all the women of NPR, which is another.
Madalyn Painter, we love you, and we want to thank you. You've done so much for me that you'll never understand what you've done for me, Madalyn. And I just want you to know that I think all the superlatives that Brad said about Karen Carroll, you are my Karen Carroll.
Do you know her at all?
No, of course not. You think I go hanging around Grand Center for fun?
So, okay, here we go again. Before we end the show, I just want you to know I'm trying to be nice, and I'm not trying to get Jason Rosenbaum in the middle of this because I know he already hates me. I just don't want it, because I know you have this great friendship with him. You're talking WWE wrestling all the time, and to the point where what's interesting is I know that Jason Rosenbaum is going to go back. Did you know he's going to get his teaching certificate and going back to teaching school? Did you know that?
I did not know that. Is it for MSW?
No, he's going back to school because the new Department of Education head he honors, and that's why he's going to get his education certificate and go back and teach.
I did not know that. Jason, if you're listening, to quote Tommy Richmond, $1 Million Baby, speaking of Brad, he will not come between us again.
Say goodbye, John.
Hi, Brad.